open it up when I count down, okay? All right.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to TGD Today, and we've got a new program for you, TGD Tips. And this is by Hugh Royer and George Honeycutt. Of course, we're so thankful to be with you today. And Hugh, over the weekend again, as you know, as a master club fitter, I run into a lot of golfers. Went over 300 fittings for the year, so it's been a busy year. I did 4 yesterday.
Jeff, how are people that naive to go see this guy that many times?
That was my mind that they keep coming, you know.
They keep coming in.
Congratulations. That's incredible. That really is.
I appreciate it.
That's impressive. And, you know, hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. It was a lot of fun. Heather overdid it as usual, and she's struggling right now with, you know, her physical stuff. But we got through it. The kids had fun. And then I got to go out and play golf on Saturday afternoon with the student and his dad. So,
Well, good.
You know, 3 days in 1 week, that's pretty good for me.
That's not bad. You're on a roll.
First in a year.
Well, on TGD Tips, what we're going to do, Hugh and I are going to give you some insights in particular reference to either the utensils we use in the game of golf or the swing tips or just little tidbits of information. And today, Hugh, I wanted to talk about, I had a gentleman come in who's of elderly age, and I'm, you know, not much higher than me as far as age, but of elderly age, and he's learned through the last several years that he needed to get more spring in the club, let's say. He's played with a lot of his friends that have made the transition into, as they call, men's flex, seniors flex, however you want to refer to it, A-flex. But they have moved into graphite shafted clubs, and he came in and talked to me. He actually had driven down from Wilmington to speak to me, and he said, I think I need you to look at this and tell me if I need these. And I said, fine, great, I've got a few moments, let's go in here and look. And it was apparent right off the bat that, you know, he struggled with a steel shafted club. So we got to talking, and he figured out that he needed to get the pitch through the 6-iron and graphite seniors flex. I asked him about his wedges. And he says, "Oh, I'm fine with my wedges. I've lost a lot of distance with them, but you know, they've been with me forever and a day." And I asked him, I said, "Well, why do you feel your wedges are okay if you're sitting here going to a graphite shaft that's going to pick you up 10 yards a club, but yet you're going to be still in the same distance with your wedges?" I said, "If you don't mind, get your wedges out of your car and let me see them." He brings the wedges in, Hugh, and he's got steel shafts stiff in his wedges.
So he's got S400s in his wedges.
S300s, F400s, yeah. And frankly, they didn't have a label on them. They're that old, okay? And I asked him, I started inquiring with him. I said, when you get over these clubs, the sand wedge, your gap wedge, your lob wedge, I said, how do you feel with them? And he goes, they just feel heavy. I can't swing them anymore, but I just don't want to get rid of them. And I said, so do you want clubs that feel good in your hand and you perform with them and you can score with them, or do you want to just carry around something heavy and old because that's what you've had in your hands for several years? He goes, you mean I can get graphite and wedges? And it all boiled down to that, just to that. This guy had not perceived in his mind that he could have graphite in his wedges.
Well, what people don't understand, and folks, you got to understand the simple fact that as you get older, we all get older. You've got to make changes because, number one, we all get some form of arthritis or something. Our joints get weaker. The graphite helps to not eliminate, but it will basically lessen the amount of stress that's put on those joints with graphite because it absorbs more. I mean, it's more of it's not so harsh feeling. And like George says, you can get it in different flexes to give you a little more spring in the tip, to give you more flex, more height, more spin, to help get these clubs to where they perform the way you want them to.
And go back to the distances that you were probably used to several years ago.
If not close. It'll be close. Maybe not quite to it, but you'll get close. You can also, if you want to get closer, you can change the lofts in the club. See, people don't understand. You don't just walk in and buy a set of clubs and, okay, they're going to be perfect. There's never a set of clubs. It doesn't matter if it comes from the tour department or if it comes, out of the store. You better have someone put them on a bending machine and check them, because I guarantee you, out of those 8 clubs, 5 of them are going to be wrong.
1 to 2 degrees.
They're never 100% correct. So you've got to be able to go to someone like George, come to someone like me or like Al up at Possum Trot, and be able to understand your clubs have to be a certain way. This is the way they need to be. Have them bent, have them reshafted, whatever, and done the way you need them done, so that they will perform. So you can go out and have a good time, hopefully whip your buddies, but you enjoy your day on the golf course.
And this is especially important, ladies and gentlemen, for you, the ladies. I see so many times the ladies come into the shop and they get them a new set of clubs, graphite shafts, 42 grams shaft weight. They love it. They hit it 10 yards, 15 yards better. And then it gets to the wedges, and they're playing still with their husband's wedges because that's all they've ever had. And they've got steel shafts in them that are probably stiff, and they wonder why they can't hit them. They're sculling them. They're hitting them fat. Ladies and gentlemen, these manufacturers, I don't care who you're looking at, who you're interested in, whether it's from Callaway TaylorMade all the way down to whoever, they make wedges in these clubs. And you can have identical shafts as you have in a 4-iron or a 7-iron or a 9-iron. You can have the same type shaft put into your wedges. And though you have a complete, same feeling, same performing set. Now, Hugh has got a great point in the wedge department is make it a little bit softer.
Yeah, well, you definitely make it softer because it is, like you were saying earlier, it's your scoring clubs. And these are your clubs. For me, it's from 110 yards and in is my 54 degree. And then when I get to 90 yards and down, it's a lob wedge. But then again, how many times have you seen me hit a 54? I mean, I can stand there and hit it full at 110, but I might hit it from 75 yards. The only reason you can do that is because you can feel the head. And honestly, I play a regular shaft in my wedges. Now, you're talking about a former tour player that plays a regular shaft.
Right.
People are going to say he's full of crap. No, I'm not. And there's a lot of guys out there that do that. They play, that maybe not a regular, but they will play a very
softens the feel.
Stiff shaft.
Yeah, softens the feel.
It gives you more feel around the greens, out of bunkers, pitching, hitting softer wedge shots, being able, whether it's a flop or it's a 60, 50-yard shot, where you've had to chip out or you've hit it in a bad place. Now you've got to try to get this up and down for par. You want something where you can feel it and you know what it's going to do.
And to wrap up these helpful tips and discussing wedges, because that's what all this boils down to. I look at scoring clubs as Hugh, a lob wedge. Pretty much a gentleman asked me yesterday, a different gentleman asked me, well, George, how far do you hit your lob wedge? It doesn't matter how far I hit mine. I said, how far do you feel comfortable in hitting yours? And he says, well, I know if I set up with it, if I hit it full, I get it 40 yards. I said, that's great. Don't look for any more. He goes, but I can hit my sand wedge 90. He goes, what about that other 50 yards?
Well, how old was the gentleman?
In his 50s.
All right. Ask him if he's ever driven a stick shift.
Ah.
Because if you don't know how to change gears in your golf swing when you play golf and you're going 100% with everything, you're never going to get any better.
You're never going to get any better.
It's just you don't start out in a Ferrari in 5th gear. You've got to start in 1st gear and work your way up.
Well, that's the question I asked him. I said, why not take your sand wedge and hit it 3/4 or half?
A half, yeah.
And he goes, well, I can't do that because I can't. I said, then you need to work on your impact point. You need to work on your swing.
Exactly. But then
it's
again,
not the clubs.
It could also be the fact the shaft's too stiff, the club's too heavy.
That's exactly right.
You take it and you put the regular shaft in there. Now you can back it down and you can hit that shot, and all of a sudden you feel.
Or you put a graphite shaft in a wedge.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no law in the world that states that you can't have a graphite shaft in a wedge. If anyone says that there is, then have them call me, please.
I mean, my father told me I was nuts when I played titanium shafts in everything I had.
Mm-hmm.
But yet it felt better to me. It
At
didn't
the
hurt
time,
my shoulder.
That was the performer.
And it worked.
That's right. That's right. So, folks, take these tips in mind. There's going to be a lot more of them following this one. Today is talking about wedges and matching the frequency, matching the shafts, matching the flex, making them a little bit softer in the wedges, as Hugh brought out. But you can match up these wedge clubs, however many you have, 2, 3, 4, however many you carry, they can replicate the shafts that you have in your distance clubs. And again, the distance clubs like pitch 9 all the way up to however high you play it. So, a little helpful tip from us, and that ought to get your morning started off right. So,
hopefully it will.
Appreciate it, bud.
No problem, buddy.
Thanks, man. This is Hugh Roy III, George Honeycutt, of course, TGD Tips right here on TGD Today, thegolfdirector.com.